Well, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have my friend Jillian Murphy here today. Thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here. I'm such a fan of you, such a fan of the show, and so excited to pour into your community today.
Yay, I'm so excited. So Jillian's a sales expert, and I wanted to have her on today because she is an expert specifically at selling in the DMs and messaging. So before we dive in to your strategy, more than anything, I would love to know just a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent close to 2 decades, a little over 2 decades in the corporate sales space, everything from sales rep to a corporate sales trainer, all the way up to building several brands of my own. Then I moved into the e-commerce space where I was a partner in a subscription box company. Then I moved over to the online space about 4.5 years ago, where I strictly work now with entrepreneurs, small business owners, and large scale companies to increase revenue, sales, profit through messaging, marketing, and their sales.
Okay, so what made you take the shift from going from corporate to online sales?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I get it asked all the time. It was actually not by choice. I was a ride or die corporate person. I was in my corporate career for over 2 decades, and I always say, like, if I could have tattooed my company's name on my forehead,
really?
I absolutely would have. I was like the poster child in our company. And during the pandemic, they got rid of the top 10 highest paying people in our company. So CEOs, CFOs, VPs of sales, corporate sales trainers. So everybody that was making multiple six, and close to the 7-figure mark in our corporation got pulled into a executive corporate room, and we all got let go without any notice. So my entire identity was let go. My entire worthiness, everything. And I remember they took my laptop, they took my car, everything. And I called my younger sister at that point, and I was like, you need to come pick me up from work. And she was like, why? Are you sick? Is something wrong? Is McKenna okay? That's my daughter. She's like, is your car okay? And I was like, I literally lost my job. And she was like, what? Literally no idea it was coming. And I called my dad, who's a super successful business owner, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, you have one day to be in your feels, but also know that you have a God-given talent for sales, and you'll be absolutely okay. You'll be just fine. So take the day, go hang out with your sister, eat some ice cream, watch some TV, and we'll figure it out tomorrow. And basically 48 hours later, I was back on my feet, and we can talk about the story from there if you want, but I moved into the online space just a couple of days later, and that was the year of the pandemic, and I really grew an incredible business within about the first 6 months of the online space.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so they take your car.
Everything.
And you're like, I need a ride home.
Yeah.
So
and I live in a really small town. We didn't even have Ubers. I had to literally call my
Was this in Detroit?
Yeah, it was actually in Oxford, so 40 miles north of the city.
Okay, that's nuts. What brought you to Arizona?
So I basically just wanted to try something out. My daughter was fully grown. I'd been divorced for a decade. And I was like, I just want to basically try something new. So I took a 6-week solo trip to Arizona, basically fell in love with it. I got an apartment here before I went back to Michigan. Went back to Michigan, sold basically everything, sold my house, sold a lot of my stuff, my clothes, everything, put everything I could in a different Land Rover that I have now, drove across country with my parents. My parents drove me out here, and basically started a new life here about 2 years ago.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
You definitely have I want to go back to the transition into the online space in just a second, but you definitely have this just go and do it energy.
Yeah.
Was there any grieving about leaving corporate or anything like that? Were you feeling sad or bummed or?
I think I was really sad about leaving the relationships and leaving the friendships that I had built. And I had built such an incredible career there. But I knew at that moment I would never work for somebody again. And I had said to myself, no matter what I do, no matter what my next step is, I will absolutely never let my identity or my income be in the hands of somebody else again, because I never ever planned on leaving. I was going to retire from this company. It was where I was going to go. And because it was instantly taken, I don't think I was actually sad. I think I used it more as the fuel to actually get me to where I was going. And my phone was ringing off the hook.
Oh, really?
After I left corporate. I was very well known in my industry. I was in food service. I worked for Cisco Foods. I have no problem saying their company name. I worked for Cisco Food Service. Everyone knew me in my market. My phone was ringing off the hook. Manufacturers, distributors, brokers, other companies. And I was like, no, 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 no. Because if I could work for one company for 22, 23 years and have this happen, it'll absolutely happen again. So I don't know what my next journey is going to look like, but I know I will never, ever work for somebody else again.
Okay, so that's interesting that you were in sort of mass food. I'm calling it mass food because I feel like Cisco, it's like they have all the different brands or whatever. And it's interesting that you related your sales skills just to the online space and all these different industries. Like, what was that transition like?
Yeah, so the transition was actually very interesting. So I have a little bit of a backstory that I talk a lot about on the podcast. I know we're newer friends, so you might not know, but about 6 weeks prior to losing my job in the corporate space, I had actually attended a mastermind in LA with Chris and Lori Harder. I had no idea who they were. I had two friends that were entrepreneurs, and they were like, hey, do you want to go to this mastermind? I didn't even know what the hell a mastermind was. They're like, hey, do you want to go to this mastermind in LA with these people, Chris and Lori Harder? And I was like, sure, I'll go to it, right? And I walk into this room, there's 50 entrepreneurs, and it was a mastermind called Fast Foundations at the time. And I went to it, and I was sitting there having lunch, and I sat next to Nick Harder. And Nick Harder was like, what do you do in the corporate sales space? And I said, oh, I help salespeople grow their businesses, messaging, marketing, content, revenue, profit, all these things. And he leaned over to me and he goes, you know, there's like 50 businesses in here that absolutely need you. And I was like, oh, like that's cute. And I let it go in one ear and out the other. I didn't even really remember who I had talked to. And I had lost my job, obviously about 6 weeks later. And I remember going back through my notebook and being like, who was that guy that I talked to?
Smart.
And I slid into Nick's DMs. I always joke, like, Chris has been my mentor for 4 years, but Nick gets all the credit for building my business. And I slid into Nick's DMs and I was like, hey, I'm actually in this mastermind. I've never really showed up. I've never been active in the channel. I'm not even really active in it, but I think I need a business coach. I need to hire someone. And he connected me to someone, and also his brother, and I hired someone on the spot. So I lost my corporate job on a Tuesday, and I took massive action on a Thursday.
Okay.
And I want people to really understand this. I had never hired anyone in the online space. So just like you, we're used to spending money now, right? $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. It's like no big deal.
Yeah.
But at that point, when I had heard what an online coach cost, I was like, whoa, this is scary. And I had just lost my income. I had no idea where money was going to be coming in from. But I knew I had to take radical action quickly because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how I was going to build a business online. And from there, I hit my first 6 figures in 6 months. I hit at first $500,000 in 18 months, and we crossed 7 figures in about 2 years. And I truly believe that I would never have been there if I didn't take massive action. And I would still try and be probably figuring it out on my own today if I didn't do that.
Right. Okay. That's so cool. And I completely 100% agree with you. You know, obviously I've been an online coach for 14 years. So I am saying the same thing on both ends of that because I really truly believe in investing in yourself, especially for so many reasons. Number one, always a knowledge gap because you can only learn so much from Googling or now ChatGPT because most of the time people don't even really know what to ask to get the right output. Yeah. But more than anything, the accountability to move forward, which is the most important thing, right?
Yeah, so I think that was like definitely one of the biggest things. And then like now full circle, you know, now I'm a coach in some of these mentors programs. They're my coaches. I'm in bigger programs with these. That mastermind has given me some of the best visibility, some of the best clients, some of the best networks, some of the best connections. So it truly was even something that I didn't even see was going to be there before I even was in that space.
That's so amazing. Okay, so you transitioned from corporate to online sales. Like, who were your first customers?
Yeah. So interestingly enough, I started a Facebook group. That was actually where I started.
That was kind of a thing. I mean, for a minute.
Yeah, it was totally a thing. So about 4 years ago.
I had one for a long time.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, I started a Facebook group. I have all these like cringy videos, and I basically was just like, I'm gonna basically go in here every single day, and I showed up in my Facebook group for almost a year and a half every day and did a video. Everything you need to learn about sales, how to sell, what to say, what not to say, how to do a proposal. Like I just did all these videos. And people started coming into my Facebook group, all different businesses, all different niches, realtors, doctors, online coaches, all these things. And people started to message me on Facebook Messenger and say like, hey, can I work with you? What does this look like? And I was like, this is like actually a real thing. And I was like, maybe I'll create a group coaching program.
Right.
So I created a group coaching program. It was like so cheesy. The first program was called Real Girl, Real Sales.
Oh my God, I love it.
It was $1,200 and my first launch was $68,000.
Oh wow.
And I was like, okay, this is a real thing.
Oh, for $1,200? For how long?
It was, my first program was $1,200. I think it was like 8 weeks, 8 or 9 weeks. It wasn't long. And it was my first launch was $68,000. And I was like, this is like a real thing. Like I put out offers and people buy. And my first 2 launches over 6 figures were in just my Facebook group. I didn't even go to the online. I didn't even have an Instagram page, like literally nothing. And I had a Instagram page, but I was a fitness competitor for a very long time. So my Instagram page didn't even have anything to do with what I did. So I just basically started going into my Facebook group. I created it. From there, I created like an ascension model. And then from there, I created just like one-on-one coaching opportunities. And to this day, I run a very simple business. I have 2 programs. I've always ran 2 programs. Now the name has shifted, but it's basically...
What are the names now?
So I have Infinity, which is my main signature program, and I do one-on-one coaching. But it's been the same thing for 4 years. I'm really big on going deep versus going wide, and I run a very boring business. And I just do the same thing, rinse and repeat, and everything that I have done from day one is everything I'm still doing today. I don't have shiny object syndrome. I don't create a bunch of stuff that I don't need. People are blown away by the fact I don't have a website. I don't have landing.
You don't have a website?
I don't have a website. I don't have landing pages. I don't have sales pages. I have 1 team member. We run like a crazy profitable business because I don't believe entrepreneurs need any of those things. What they need is people coming into their world that have a problem, and you just need to have conversations and serve them. But so many entrepreneurs, especially newer entrepreneurs, are doing things that feel really good because they don't want to actually do the things that don't feel good, which is like having sales conversations and doing lead generation and getting on podcasts and doing things that actually move the needle in your business and getting out from behind Canva or a sales page or any of these things that actually at the end of the day don't matter.
I am fascinated by how you can sell programs without a sales page.
Yeah, and I don't get on sales calls.
Well, I know that, but the audience doesn't know that. So tell me more about like how you're just putting the offer out there, and on Instagram, is that like your main lead generation source? Like how are you marketing to people?
So Instagram is our main lead generation source. People ask me about Infinity. I send them a Google Doc. Everything's just in a Google Doc.
Okay, so it's a sales page in a Google Doc kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's like, 15 sentences maybe. There's nothing like super fancy. And then we send them a Stripe link. There's not like a fancy checkout link. There's not a fancy like funnel.
Love it.
There's nothing super fancy because what's really important to me too is I want to be able to teach my community and I want to be able to teach my audience that they can do exactly what I did. So if I'm running ads or I'm boosting posts or I have a super big executive team or I have fancy funnels and fancy systems and webinars and all these things, and then I tell entrepreneurs that I can help you do this, but then they can't execute that because they're a team of 1 or they're a solopreneur or any of these things. So what is really important to me and what I've stated in integrity since day 1 is everything that I have done to grow my coaching business to 7 figures, you can do even if you do not have a paying client.
Interesting. Okay. We've been in masterminds and stuff together, but I don't know that this part about you, that you don't even have a website. That's just like blowing my mind right now. I'm like, now I want to go stalk everything you're doing online. So I know you don't get on sales calls because that's exactly why I wanted to have you in here today, because a lot of my audience, they get DMs and they don't know what to do with them and how to transform them into the next step. And in fact, you've even said like, you should not be getting on sales calls. I actually don't mind doing it because I like getting some market research and stuff like that. And my sales calls are typically pretty quick, like 20, 30 minutes. And there is a benefit for me to do that because I feel like I'm better at being on a sales call than the DMs, but I want to learn like how to shift that energy because I think a lot of people want to feel like if someone DMs them about a piece of jewelry or about their program or about anything that they saw and asked them what they do, how do you turn that into a sale?
Yeah, so I think a couple of reasons why I want to preface this, why I don't think anybody should be getting on a sales call, because I think there's a lot of people that say like, oh, I don't get on sales calls, but they're coming at it from a very different place.
Okay.
They're coming at it from like, oh, I'm on a pedestal and I'm too good to get on sales calls. calls. I don't get on sales calls for very strategic reasons. So I want to like just put that on the thing. So the number one reason why I don't get on sales calls is because when someone reaches out to me in the DMs and they say, hey, Jillian, I'm really challenged right now with sales and I'm not really sure what to do and my launch is failing. The last thing I'm going to do is send them my calendar link and get them on my calendar a week from now. Because in a week from now, they've moved on to something else. They've moved on to, maybe the problem isn't big enough anymore. Maybe they got a flat tire in their car and whatever funds they were going to use to hire me, use that. Maybe their kids needs braces. Maybe they shut down their business. Who knows? So there's something in sales called a leaky faucet and a bursting pipe.
Okay.
When someone reaches out to you in the DMs, they are in their bursting pipe moment. They absolutely need help right now. And when you tell someone, let me send you a calendar link or let me get you on my calendar, you're basically saying, hold on to that bursting pipe and I'm going to get you on a call in 3 days, 4 days, 5 nights, and you're actually losing the momentum.
Right.
So that's number one, why you should get them on a call right now while they're actually in the energy of the problem that they're in. And this can be dating, sales, business, their jeans don't fit, their gut health, they're bloated, anything, any niche, any industry, and any price point, which we can also talk about. The second thing is the majority of people are not professionally trained in sales. I have taken thousands of sales calls in my lifetime, and even I am still blown away sometimes by what people ask me in the DMs. I'm like, oh, I didn't see that question coming.
Okay.
And when you get a question in the DMs, you can actually take time to like look at
Think
your
about
phone
it.
and be like,
And not be caught off guard.
how do I want to answer that? Right?
Interesting.
Also, that's another thing. You can like take time and you can think about it. Maybe you want to like, I had a girl ask me earlier just this week. She was like, hey, I really want to work with you. I will do anything. What do you think about a trade? Now, I don't do trades in my business, but I wanted to like answer it in a way that just like it felt good. So I could answer it. I could take time and answer it. Also, there's a difference between how you buy and how you sell. So you guys are probably going to figure this out pretty quick on this podcast. I have a very direct personality. I have a very dominating personality. I actually will blow through someone on a sales call, regardless of how professionally trained I am. If I get someone that's introverted, if I get someone that's an analytical buyer, if I get someone that's asking me 800 questions, you can see it. But if I'm in the DMs,
you can't.
I can
this is so good.
I can answer it when I'm laying on my couch. I can answer it on a walk. I can answer it when I'm at the gym. I can like take a breath and be like, just be patient with this beautiful soul. Like there's so many things that you can do that you can't fake on a sales call. Just like on the flip side, if you're not trained and you get someone like me on a sales call. I needed this
conversation yesterday.
Yeah. And just like on the flip side, if you have someone like me on a sales call that's very dominating and wants direction and you're like, I don't know how to handle this person, you can answer it the other way. So it's really important to know who your buyer is, and you can figure out a lot in the DM conversations. And it makes you better. It just absolutely makes you better. And the best part, you can sell multiple people at one time.
Right. Okay. So someone reaches out to you, you're messaging back. How do you overcome, like, how do you even like get them to a place where they're ready to buy? Do you have like a formula, or is it just like answering questions? Because sometimes people will say like, you know, with a physical product, they're like, oh, what's the price of this? And like, that's the worst question to get because you're just like, whatever. Or, oh, I love that piece or whatever. Or someone else is like, can you tell me a little bit about how you can help me? Like, tell me a little bit about, let's start with the tell me a little bit about how you can help me question.
So if somebody was to reach out to me and say like, hey, can you tell me a little bit more about how you can help me? I would say, yeah, I would absolutely love to tell you about how I can help you, but I actually don't know anything about you or if I can actually help you at all. So in order for me to even see if I can help you, I need to know way more about you. So, and I don't voice memo anyone until I ask for permission. So I'm going to say, I remember you saying that. Yeah, so I might be texting this out, and then I might say, hey, are you comfortable with me moving to voice note? And then I might say, hey, Tracy, tell me a little bit about what's going on currently in your business. And I'm always going to ask them what they're challenged with. I'm never going to say, what's your problem? Or what are you struggling with? I'm going to be like, what are you currently challenged with? Because people love a challenge. And then I'm going to basically flip it to like, this is how I can help you if I actually can help them, right? So that's number one. If anybody reaches out to me in the DMs and they say, hey, can you give me the price point of what it is to work with you? I say that is absolutely the wrong question to be asking right now. The first question you should be asking me right now is how quickly can you and I get results? So let's readdress this conversation and let's start with some questions that I'm actually going to ask you. This is actually a pattern interrupt.
Right.
So I'm going to restart the conversation and I'm going to
turn it back on them.
I'm going to move it back towards them. So there's like so many things that I work with my clients on, and one of the biggest things I work with my clients on is when they're in DM conversations. My clients are sending me screenshots and they're like, "Hey, I'm here. What do I say next?" And I'm like, "Say this." And then they send it back. So they're learning in real time.
I love that.
The worst thing my clients can do is be like, hey, I just did all of this. Now what? It's like, well, now we have a lot of fixing to do. It's like, just tell me what they're saying. I'm going to tell you. And then people are also going to fix it to what feels best for them and what feels aligned. But yeah, that's one of the best things you can do.
So what happens if like you're spending all this time, because this has happened to me so many times, and they're like, number one, at what point do you turn it into like sharing the offer? What do you do when someone ghosts you? Like all of a sudden you spent like literally like an hour in the DMs going back and forth with someone.
Yeah, so you're going to get ghosted. You guys should all understand that you're going to get ghosted. And I have a lot of different processes with ghosted. So let's say for you, let's say I sent you a couple messages and you literally, it says seen and you saw them. Again, I have a very direct personality, so I'm going to literally send you a message that's like, Tracy, why are you ghosting me? And where do we go from here? And I will tell you, people actually feel very called out by that. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You're right. I saw these messages. I do owe you a message back. I'm going to say something like, hey, I understand you are busy, but I am busy as well. This is the last time I'm going to follow up with you. Let me know where we go from here. So like, don't be afraid to actually call people out on what it is that they're doing. But I think the biggest thing with DM selling that people get wrong 99.9% of the time is my content is doing 99% of the selling for me. So I'm actually not doing a ton of these like conversations where it's like, I don't know how to transition, or I don't know how to move it from like friend zone to cash zone, which is like a big word right now in the online space, right? Because my content is already speaking to you. My content is already speaking to the challenges, the struggles, all those things. So by the time they get into the DMs, it's really just like, okay, every single piece of content you're putting out is absolutely speaking to me. You're absolutely in my head. I've listened to your podcast. I'm binging you. What is it like to work with you? And then I'm like, amazing. Tell me what it's like going on in your world right now, and let's talk about the best thing that, how I can support you. So then it's really about logistics at that point. And then I give them the offer, and we'll see what it is. And we've closed everything all the way up to $56,000 in the DMs.
Oh, amazing. And so what's a $56,000 offer look like?
1 year of one-on-one coaching.
Okay. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I always say this too, like, my clients sell in every single niche, because every single time I do a podcast or I do an Instagram live, people are like, well, this is great for business coaching, but this won't work for my niche. So this works for my functional medicine doctors. This works for my gut health practitioners. This works for my realtors. This works for my product-based businesses. This works for brick and mortars. Any industry, any price point, it doesn't matter. Literally bring it to me, and I will promise you, you can sell in the DMs. And if you think that you can't, it's your own limiting belief and probably how you're not buying.
Okay, interesting. So we talked about ghosting. We talked about converting them. So are you overcoming the objections before they even slide into your DMs?
I mean, most of my content is speaking to it, but I overcome objections in the DMs. I mean, I talked to a girl on Saturday, and we probably talked in the DMs for, I don't know, a good 2 hours, and I overcame a lot of objections. She was like, what if this doesn't work? What if I don't get results? Do you think I should do 3 months? Do you think I should do 6 months? Do you think that you can help me? I mean, yeah, she was giving me all sorts of it, but I also will say she just found me on a podcast. So she heard me on my friend Melissa Hunnell's podcast. She was like, hey, I heard you on Melissa's podcast. I think you're a good fit for me. Can I ask you some questions? Can I get on a call? And this is what I say. I actually don't do calls, so why don't we just work on everything that you need right here? So this is the other thing. If you want to sell in the DMs, you have to drive people to the DMs. So a lot of people are like, well, nobody's messaging me in the DMs. And then I watch their Instagram stories, and every other day it's like, book a call or fill out an application. Well, you're telling people how to buy from you. You will never ever see me saying to people, get on a call. You will never ever hear me say, fill out an application. You will never ever hear me say like anything other than, let's have a conversation in my DM. So my audience is very trained to talk to me in the DMs. But also every day, I'm telling my audience to talk to me in the DMs about everything under the sun. Today I asked my audience what they thought of my brand new red track pants.
They're cute.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Because I want them to get into the habit
of
that my
messaging
DMs
you.
are open for everything. Because red track pants are going to then move to, thank you so much. Like, I also love your pants. What are you working on? What are you excited about? And then that's going to very quickly shift in to things. I have a one-on-one client. She always jokes around. She was like, last thing I knew, I was talking about Air Jordans, and then I was filling out a stripe link for 20 grand. It's like, yeah, because that's how it happens. Like, you have to be having real life conversations with people on all sorts of things and then move it into a sales transition. You can't just be asking people to DM you when you only want to sell things.
How do you even have the time for this if you're doing so much one-on-one work?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Nobody else is in my DMs. I have zero automation set up, and I don't have ManyChat. So the reason why I don't do this is because I think more importantly than ever, it is so important that people understand that when they're reaching out to me in my DMs, that it's actually me that they're talking to, and they're not getting into some weird funnel, they're not getting into some AI bot, and they're not getting into something that's not me. So it might be a day before I respond to somebody, and this is what I say: hey Tracy, I saw you left me a DM yesterday, and I apologize, but what's more important to me than anything is that when I do respond, it's actually me that I am responding to. And
Right.
I always say this too: I have no humans to keep alive. I can work at night, all of those things. So if you're in a different season of your life, maybe have someone in your DMs, maybe have an executive assistant, maybe have a setter or a closer, whatever that looks like. But I will say I've never outsourced my Instagram. I've never outsourced my engagement. I've never outsourced my social media, because that is the thing that makes me money. So the only two things in my business that I do is forward-facing visibility, like today being on a podcast, and my social media, and servicing my clients. Everything else in my business is delegated to my assistant, Paul. Everything. So that I can do the things that generates revenue in my business.
Okay.
Everything else is delegated. Everything.
And so when you're teaching and everything, you're just keeping it super simple. Like do you do how's your program structured? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so my program is structured. They get 4 calls a month with me.
Are they group or one-on-one?
Group calls. There's
Okay.
no one-on-one. Yep, so it's only group calls. They get 4 calls a month. And then there's access to me inside of Slack Monday through Friday.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you're just in Slack all day?
So I'm not. I'm in Slack once a day.
Okay, good.
Yep. So once a day I go in there and I answer their Slack questions. And then I'm also a coach inside of my mentors program, which he has 69 entrepreneurs inside of there. So once a day I go into his program, Chris's program, and I answer all the questions inside of his Circle app, which is everything in sales, messaging, marketing, and content.
Amazing.
So I go in there once a day. I have really strict boundaries on it. So I actually did it before I came here. I had about an hour. So once a day I'll go in there and answer all of those questions. But it's the same questions. So it's the same questions my clients are getting.
Exactly.
It's the same clients they're answering, and it's also really great content.
I love it. Okay, so for anyone who wants to, where can they find you and find out more about your sales expertise?
Yeah, so number 1, I do a free webinar every single Wednesday. So I'm doing 300 webinars live. We are on number 12, so come over and check us out every single Wednesday. It's the same webinar every week. It's called Mastering DM Selling. So if you want to get better at DM selling, come over and check out our webinar. We have a podcast. We drop 3 episodes a week called Scale Your Sales, or come over and find me on Instagram at the Jillian Murphy.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.